Can start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Sushishoshadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevana Shrinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hyabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta ete ranaviddham Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hrudaya Grantis Chidyante Sarva Samshayah Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishvare Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Manmahadana Manishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So today's verse is 3:22:16, and yesterday was 15, which was not, the speaker wasn't available. So we will just read those two verses today and discuss based on those two verses. But today's verse is 16. So we'll first read the Sanskrit for 3:22:16. Kamasa bhuya naradevate syaha putrya samamnyaya vidau pratitaha ka eva te tanayam nadriyeta svayaiva kantya kshipatim iva shriyam. Kamasa bhuya naradevate syaha putrya samamnaya vidau pratitaha ka eva te tanayam nadriyeta svayaiva kantya kshipatim iva shriyam. Kamasa bhuya naradevate syaha putrya samamnaya vidau pratitaha ka eva te tanayam nadriyeta swayaiva kantya kshipatim iva shriyam. So word-to-word translations. Kamaha, desire, saha, that, bhuyat, let it be fulfilled, Naradeva, O king, te, your, asyaha, this, putriya, of the daughter, samamnaya vidau, in the process of Vedic scriptures, pratitaha, recognized, kaha, who, eva, in fact, te, your, tanayam, daughter, na adriyeta, would not adore. Svaya, by her own, eva, alone, kantya, bodily luster, Shipatim, excelling, Iva, as if, Shriyam, ornaments. Translation. Let your daughter's desire for marriage, which is recognized in the Vedic scriptures, be fulfilled. Who would not accept her hand? She is so beautiful that by her bodily luster alone, she excels the beauty of her ornaments. Purport to 322.16. Kardama Muni wanted to marry Devahuti in the recognized manner of marriage prescribed in the scriptures. As stated in the Vedic scriptures, the first class process is to call the bridegroom to the home of the bride and hand her to him in charity with a dowry of necessary ornaments, gold, furniture, and other household paraphernalia. This form of marriage is prevalent among higher class Hindus even today, and is declared in the Shastras to confer great religious merit on the bride's father. To give a daughter in charity to a suitable son-in-law is considered to be one of the most pious activities of a householder. There are 8 forms of marriage mentioned in the scripture Manusmriti, but only one process of marriage, Brahma or Rajasika marriage, is now current. Other kinds of marriage by love, by exchange of garlands, by kidnapping the bride are now forbidden in this Kali age. Formerly, Kshatriyas would, at their pleasure, kidnap a princess from another royal house, and there would be a fight between the Kshatriya and the girl's family. Then, if the kidnapper was the winner, the girl would be offered to him for marriage. Even Krishna married Rukmini by that process, and some of his sons and grandsons also married by kidnapping. Krishna's grandsons kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, which caused a fight between the Kuru and Yadu families. Afterward, an adjustment was made by the elderly members of the Kuru family. Such marriages were current in bygone ages, but at the present moment, they are impossible because the strict principles of Kshatriya life have practically been abolished. Since India has become dependent on foreign countries, the particular influences of her social orders have been lost. Now, according to scriptures, everyone is a Shudra. The so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas have forgotten their traditional activities. And in the absence of these activities, they are called Shudras. It is said in the scriptures, Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. So text 15, Kardamuni says, "Suddenly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, our marriage according to Vedic system can take place." So, if we go through these 2 verses, this whole section is about marriage of Kardamuni and Devahuti. So, in the 15th verse, when we notice, Kardamuni is saying, I have a desire to marry. First of all, he says his thing, his position in this whole conversation or the exchange is he admits that yes, I haven't decided to be a lifelong celibate, and I have a service to do, and I have desire to marry. That's from his side. And then he says about Devahuti next. 1 second. Yeah. And he says then, your daughter also hasn't given word to anyone else. That's also he has considered that, okay, I have a desire to marry, and this girl has not committed to anybody in her mind or word. So she is, this point open. So now the two main conditions are met. His desire is there, and she hasn't given a word, or she has not given her mind to anybody. So therefore, Rakada Muni says in 15th verse, our marriage can happen. And how does he want it to happen? He wants it to happen according to the Vedic system. So in the 15th purport, Prabhupada then describes about, different kinds of marriages that were present. Even in 16, Prabhupada describes that. Different kinds of marriages, like this, the process of Kanyadhana, like the father hands over or, gives the daughter to a suitable son-in-law. That's one style of marriage. And then Prabhupada describes the other style. I think there are many other styles, but Prabhupada describes a few of them. One is the Gandharva marriage, and then just the exchanging garlands. So different kinds of marriages Prabhupada explains in the two purports. But Prabhupada also makes it very clear that nothing else can be done in Kali Yuga other than this process of marriage that happens with agreement between the boy and the girl and the families. So that is the only allowed marriage, not the Gandharva marriage, not the just hanging out together with the exchanging garlands, or not also the kidnapping kind of marriage. These are not suitable for Kali Yuga. So, the description is that in Kali Yuga, best that we stick to this one form of marriage, that the daughter is given to a suitable son-in-law. So now, in the purport to 16, Srila Prabhupada expands on, basically Kardo Muni says in the verse that let your daughter's desire, so he expressed his desire in 15th verse. Now he says, let your daughter's desire for marriage be fulfilled too. Because why it can be fulfilled? Can be fulfilled because it's recognized in Vedic scriptures. So everywhere they are taking the Shastra as the Pramana. There is something to note that Shastra is taken as a Pramana every time. Not whimsical decisions are made in this big step of life. Just entering into a new ashram is always done with Shastra Praman, which helps both of them to be committed. So then in addition, Kadamuni says, who would not accept her hand? She's so beautiful that her beauty actually excels the beauty of her ornaments. So here we can say that Kardamuni has been practicing yoga for quite a while, and Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him, and the teardrop of Lord Vishnu formed the Bindu Sarovar. And, Kardamuni is directly related to Lord Brahma. So there's so many high qualities. And then he's describing the beauty of Devahuti. So how to look at this? Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also like a, it's against Kaitava Dharma. And it is, Srimad Bhagavatam is fully about the Lord. So there's no inferior subject matters given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then in Bhagavatam, this is quoted also, Kadamuni describing the beauty of Mother Devahuti. So now we can understand that Srimad Bhagavatam, if we think again, describes the beauty of Lord Krishna. In the 10th canto, described his curly locks of hair and his beautiful smile and his stance and his tribanga and Mother Yashoda dressing him. And the whole detail is given about Krishna's beauty. Then the beauty of Paramatma even is described when Krishna enters into the womb of Uttara and offers protection, gives protection to Parikshit Maharaj. The whole vision of the, Parikshit Maharaj inside the womb, the details are given. Angushta Matram, he was just like like a length of height of a thumb. And he was so beautiful. He was wearing yellow garments, and his mark of Srivatsa and Kaustubha gem, and the whole detail is described. And then his lotus-like eyes, everything is described about Krishna. And when we see the description of his devotees' beauty is also given. When Shukadev Goswami walks into the arena of Maharaj Parikshit and all the sages, he was looking so beautiful that he was like I don't know if this is an analogy, but fire covered by smoke, as if, he looked like madman for the rest of the world, but for the saintly, his luster and his beauty, his features, everything was so attractive. So like this, many, many, many descriptions of the beauty of the devotees is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's Prithu Maharaj's beauty is mentioned, Prahlad Maharaj's beauty is mentioned. There are so many like this, right? The beauty of the devotees is mentioned. And here, Mother Devahuti's beauty is also mentioned. The way she looked, her luster, the bodily luster, it's like effulgence basically, was overtaking the beauty of the ornaments that she wore when meeting Kardama Muni. So basically, her beauty was actually from inside out. Her qualification was her beauty. And we also hear, I was looking for the verse, I could not track the verse yet, but we also hear that Devahuti was not an ordinary girl. Like, everyone was trained at that time. Everyone was trained in yoga at that time. So she was actually trained in 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. And she had perfect sense control and mind control, and that added to her beauty. So her beauty was so abundant that it actually overpowered the beauty of the ornament she was wearing. And this was spoken by Kardama Muni in this verse. That's one angle, and the first thing is that this whole approach is taken as, under the guidance of Vedic scriptures, not whimsical. Okay, she heard from Narada Muni, she developed love, and then she comes and, Kardama Muni sees her beauty and accepts. No, Kardama Muni accepts based on his desire and her desire, and they both are clean without offering their minds to anybody yet, and they have a service to do. That was the foreground. And then after that was embellishments like her beauty and things like that. So the whole foundation of decision making here is based on Shastra and the mental state or the consciousness state of both the bride and groom. Yeah, so now Prabhupada explains in the purport about, according to Vedic, as stated in Vedic scriptures, the first class process is to call the bridegroom to the home of the bride and hand her to him. So it's very respectfully and consciously done. It's not something that just, again, without any conscious deliberation. So everything was done deliberately and consciously, thinking through it, and then making it an explicit, making their intention of getting married an explicit announcement, so that in their own heart, it is the conviction is stronger. So now then here's the dowry system is mentioned. It's more of a offering from the bride's family However, it kind of got all messed up, like kind of like perverted, and became like a more of a transaction later on in the world. In the current age, its dowry is almost like a symptom of one's status or demand of the other side. So that degradation of Kali Yuga has taken all these systems also in a very perverted way. So these are just additions to the Vedic, conducting of marriage according to Vedic scriptures. The foundation once again was that both parties are clean, and then in their heart, and then clean in the sense that they haven't offered themselves to another, and then this marriage system is according to Vedic scriptures. Then rest everything is an embellishment here. And Prabhupada then details about different 8 forms of marriage. Again, we already went through that. And he clearly tells that, only this system of marriage can be done in Kali Yuga, not others. So, anyways, so the whole thing about here, the few messages that came to me was about fixing of the mind. Mother Devahuti had fixed her mind on Kardava Muni. Sorry about the light, but yeah, so Mother Devahuti had fixed her mind on Kardava Muni, and then Prabhupada explains about the psychology of women. The psychology of women is stated, Prabhupada states that once a woman offers her heart or mind to another man, then they don't change. They don't simply change. So that is the chastity part of it, And if you think about it, even Bhishma Dev kidnapped Amba, and the whole thing got quite complicated because Amba had already offered her mind to Shalva. So this sister, and of course she got thrown off by both parties, and it has become complicated. It became complicated. But in general, the principle is whatever is the state of mind, when one offers the mind to somebody, then the mind actually consumes the thought process and the entire emotions. Everything is driven from that offering. So it's like a sankalpa. Basically, it's fixing one's mind. It's a sankalpa. So in this, I was just thinking that we are always advised before japa to form a sankalpa. Make a sankalpa of how we want our japa to be, and this next, whatever we're going to chant, what do we want in our japa? So fix our mind. What does it mean, fixing our mind? Then do we really feel that we can just like, okay, I fixed my mind and I'm done? Can we be so convinced that once having fixed mind, we never get distracted? Actually, fixing of the mind is like a protective force, more than that I will 100% follow. But it becomes a protection for us, that if some distraction come, then we can tell ourselves, okay, our mind knows that we have fixed it on a particular sankalpa. So once that fixing of the mind has happened and repeatedly practiced, then even though there may be distractions, because the world is full of distraction, that's what the material world is for, to offer as many distractions as possible. So it's like when we offer our mind to something or someone, then it is a protective force, that the mind does not wander everywhere, even if there is proposals for distraction. So that was something that that was very interesting. Or sorry, I'm just moving my camera. That was very important, I felt. In general, the principle of fixing the mind is so important when we offer ourselves to something or someone or a practice anywhere. Because once we offer our mind, then we have we have a guideline or reference point to go back to when we get distracted. So that's something that's important. Comes in this purport in relation to Mother Devahuti fixing her mind on Karda Muni. So then she's protected from the perspective that there's no more distraction. She already made up her mind. So there's not like, even if something here and there happens, if somebody tells something, then, I mean, I'm just giving very contemporary issues. Then she always knows that, why did I choose this? So the choice once made deliberately assists a person to stay protected from the antagonistic viewpoints or philosophies or perspectives. It's almost like being a Madhyamadhikari, so let me move from here because this is very distracting to have the light on my eyes. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. Thank you. So yeah, we were with this first point that's in the translation and purport about fixing the mind. Yeah, it's like a Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari level. If you see Kanishta Adhikari, one may see God only on the altar and then not anywhere else. So when varying philosophies come, this preliminary devotee might get distracted from the path that they are trying to choose or actually chosen to follow. But when we see Madhyama Adhikari, one is convinced about the process. One may not be able to convince others, but one is convinced, and then one knows who can influence them and who cannot. They don't allow everybody and anybody to influence them, their faith and in the Shastra and philosophy. So similarly, fixing of the mind is a key element in choosing a relationship, in committing to a relationship, and which is very, very nice actually. So we choose and we are conscious, we respect our own choice by fixing our mind. And we fix our mind based on Shastric injunction and not with just our likes or dislikes. So there's a background to everything. To enter into a relationship with anything, anyone, and in terms of marriage, and in terms of guru disciple, or in terms of practices of sadhana, and in terms of Krishna himself. So we fix our mind. That helps us. But to fix our mind, we should be also referring to Shastra, not just fixing our mind based on our own imaginary field. So that's first point that came quite obviously, or that can be applied at various levels, fixing of mind. And that's also a consideration for Karda Muni. Okay, she has fixed her mind. So then and she has a desire, which is according to Shastra, and I have also a desire. So everything is suitable. And then we both desire to be under the shelter of Shastra. So foundational ground is very strong in the choice of their marriage. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is about why we should fix our mind according to Shastra. Why? Because, our mind gets fixed everywhere and anywhere at this point. Whatever blocks that one has towards the practice of sadhana, that's also our mind has gotten fixed on something else. That's why we have struggled to switch our mind to something else, or to a positive habit, or to positive practice, or to spiritual practice. So at least when we are making decisions, life decisions, it is protection for us, and it is also it's also what do you call, like a proper way to choose is based on fixing our mind based on the Shastra. So before we fix our mind, then we go back and think about everything, and we compare our thought process to the Shastra, and then fix our mind. So the Vedic scriptures are important in this. And where do we get Vedic scriptures from? So again, Guru and Sadhu. So therefore, Sadhu Sangha is most vital in our um, progress, right? So here, what was the Sadhu Sangha for Mother Devahuti and Kardamuni? For Mother Devahuti, her Sadhu Sangha was based on Narada Muni's description of Kardamuni and her own training of what a system of marriage mean. What is it for? And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear in the first canto, there are a set of verses about, I think, second chapter, verses around 8 through 12, I think. There are verses about, what is dharma for? What is the life for? What is the life, what should be the goal of life, or the, lifestyle should be based on what? One has to choose one's lifestyle for the purpose of self-preservation and purification. It's a very nice verse. Jivasya tattva jignasa. One second, I'll just pull up the verse. It's a very beautiful verse. So Mother Devahuti has that clearly, that where to, on what basis she has fixed her mind on Narada Muni was the basis of Sadhu Sangha that she had with Narada Muni. That was the basis. It was not just something, so here it is. 1 to 10. Canto 1, chapter 2, verse 10. Says, Kamasya nendriya priti labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa narto yascheha karma bihi. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life for self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about this absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So when we come to know these kind of verses through Shastra and Sadhu Sangha, then when we make choices for life, then we base it on these. Okay, it's meant for self-preservation and purification. So therefore, the system of marriage is meant for that. Even though there is some level of sense gratification is offered, but it's a regulated offering of sense gratification. The system of regulation is involved in it. And why we are regulating? We're regulating because we understand that this is for purification and self-preservation and not just going wild with the system. So Mother Devahuti had all this information. And she also had information about Kardamuni, who has been doing penance for, like ages. He's just standing there and doing penance. And why he's doing penance? Because he got an instruction. And during that penance, who came in front of him? Lord Vishnu. So this whole history she knows. See, then we match her knowledge, or the information she has about why the system of marriage, what is life meant for, and the person she chooses are correlating, are in perfect match. So the choice of her choice is driven by her shastric knowledge that came from Sadhu Sangha. And therefore she fixed her mind on Kardamuni. And then because she fixed her mind, she was not distracted with anything else. She is the emperor of the world. I mean, she could definitely get a king or a demigod or somebody, but she chose Kardamuni for a reason. So there's a there's a link behind, there's a lot of historical or processing, like a heart. She processed a lot before making the choice. If we use contemporary words, she processed a lot, or she thought about it. She deliberated on this quite a bit before fixing her mind. So that's the beauty of Mother Devahuti, right? And if we track back again, Kardamuni is fixing his mind on marriage, system of marriage itself. He accepted his wanting to be a grihastha, because that was the first thing he expressed in 15th verse, that I want to marry. It is my desire to marry. He says that. And then he looks at that desire from the perspective of a service. Yes, it is a desire. But then he looks at the desire through the lens of service. Therefore, he received a service of being a Prajapati. So then then he has to look for a suitable person who would participate in this service. So both of them are coming together on strong basis of knowledge and guidance. So that's where they are coming together. So therefore, the purification that they will endure or face in their ashram, grihastha ashram, they're able to put up with it. It's not easy to really keep cool in the trendy kind of thing. So it's not easy to just keep ourselves intact if we don't have this background work in our hearts. It's the same thing in any service that is given. Okay, this grihastha ashram service. So we commit in a relationship. Why? For self-preservation, purification. So when we understand this is the background why I'm choosing this ashram, even we had made a choice before committing to the ashram, we can still change our goal even now. So changing our perspective is called hearing. A hearing means accepting the conceptions that are offered by the speaker. So now we are hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are hearing here from Kardamuni, and this is being narrated by our Maitreya Rishi to Vidura, which is being narrated by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj and Suta Goswami. So we are actually hearing from all these elevated souls. So hearing means accepting their conceptions that they are offering to move us towards our spiritual goal of life. So with this conviction, then if we even think about changing our perspective of Grihastha ashram towards self-preservation and purification, then we are able to endure the disturbances or the blocks or obstacles or anything, the difficulties that we face in navigating and in this ashram. And the best way to enter into something is to have an exit plan, like mentally. So therefore, we are fortunate that Srimad Bhagavatam is giving guidelines to reorient us once again and time and again to why we are doing what we are doing, why we are choosing to be in this ashram or that ashram, the other ashram. And therefore, our goal is kept straight. And when something happens, we don't get thrown off completely. Yeah, we may get disturbed. We are humans. We may get disturbed and we may feel need for support and this and that, but we don't get thrown off completely. So we don't think that, oh my God, Krishna, I'm doing this the best I can. What did you do for me? This is really crazy. We don't go to that far. Same way, this is Grihastha ashram service. Similarly, if we take some other service in a community or in a institution, in a temple, we take some service and then we know it is for meeting our spiritual needs, so self-preservation, and we know that it is for our purification. So therefore, the influx of challenges that come, we don't get thrown off. We try to be in mood of service with the understanding that this is for purification. This is the benefit of having Srimad Bhagavatam in our lives, that it reorients us to why we are doing what we are doing. Be it Grihastha ashram, Brahmacharya ashram, any ashram. Fortunately, we have a lot of information about Grihastha ashram in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many couples, and that we come across the kings and the stories of devotees who were, really like kingly. They were not sannyasis. Maharaj Ambarish was not a sannyasi externally, but he was internally. So there is scope for us to be internally detached and externally offering service in a particular ashram. So anyways, that's the inspiration for me from these verses and this chapter itself, but these verses, that Karda Muni brings up the point of that the Mother Devotee fixed her mind. Therefore, and I have a desire and she has a desire, she hasn't offered anybody to herself to anybody else in mind or word. So therefore our match is fine. But now, we want to get married in the Vedic scriptural injunction way. So that's the whole idea in these two verses, 15 and 16. Now in that, the lessons or the pointers that I felt inspired by is fixing the mind offers protection for us to not get distracted by other philosophies and other perspectives and other advices and opinions and all those things. That fixing the mind offers protection for us in offering a particular service, and then or committing to a relationship. Fixing the mind is important. Committing to a relationship with japa, with Krishna, with Guru, with service, with Grihastha ashram, anything that we take. But then how do we fix our mind? What should be the basis of fixing our mind? Fixing our mind should be done with guidance, with sadhu sangha, just like Mother Devotee did it with Narada Muni's sangha, and based on shastric injunction. So Guru, Sadhu, Shastra are important even before we fix our mind. So that's a major thing that came out for me from this, and it helps to reorient ourselves. And why do we then choose making a choice and fixing our mind is based on Amala Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and those who preach and teach that. Then our desires and goals are intact. Our goal is intact and our desires are directed towards that goal. We may acknowledge I'm not there yet, and I'm still I have this desire, that desire, the other desire, just like Karda Muni had a desire to marry and Devahuti had a desire to marry. So we may have different desires, but we know what the goal is. And if the desire supports the goal, then we choose it, otherwise we toss it. So our life has a direction because of Srimad Bhagavatam. So because the principles that are practiced by all these wonderful devotees, it looks like, oh, wow, they're just getting married. If we don't have purports, if we don't have, if we haven't heard from anybody that has realized all this, it would look like a storyline. Okay, Karda Muni and Devahuti got married based on these grounds, and then, and they were Prajapatis, and from them everybody just, it would go like that. But here we have beautiful lessons even from these two verses. So that's where I would pause for today. And thank you very much. And if anybody has any reflection, kindly share. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srimad Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Wonderful class, Mataji. Particularly, you actually brought out a lot of points, but fixing the mind, sankalpa, that is what you were churning my mind. And I was going back to Vyavasayatmaka Buddhi in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So the image of a plow, making a furrow in the ground,
Yeah.
and then the farmer sowing the seed, and so the job of the plow is to create that
Yeah.
path or the furrow, you know. So yeah, there are so many distractions that comes every year. I make so many sankalpas, and every day I make sankalpas, and it's just that keeping the path in spite of the distractions, and sometimes even deviating,
Yeah.
but coming back.
Yes.
That is the key, so that helps a lot, particularly in devotional life. Thank
Yes.
you for bringing that out, Mataji.
Thank you.
And then on a lighter note, uh, you know, uh, there were different types of marriages you were talking about.
Yeah.
In Bihar, there is a different type of marriage that has started happening in the past 30, 40 years. That
Yeah.
is, if there is a bridegroom who is well qualified, but what they do is the bride side, they're political and powerful. They go kidnap the bridegroom and hold him hostage until he agrees to marry the daughter. There is no other harm. There is no demands, you know. And once he agrees, then even though the bridegroom may be from lower status of life, whatever, they will see that everything becomes equal, and then they marry, so that the daughter and they live together, a well qualified life. Not that this is sanctioned or anywhere, but
Yeah.
I was thinking how Krishna's son was kidnapped by, I
Yeah.
forget.
Krishna.
Uh,
Krishna.
yeah, and I was going there, and that's why I said it's a lighter note. But I was tying those two things together. Thank you, Mataji. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing of kidnapping is it's not approved anymore because the kidnapper was also thoughtful. It was not random decision. Arjuna's kidnapping Shubhadra was a very thoughtful decision, and he knew already that Shubhadra was having her mind on him, and this foundation was already there. The one person who kidnapped in a without background knowledge was Bhishma Dev, and it didn't work out when we think about it. So when before kidnapping, Krishna knew Rukmini's mind was on him. Before
Mm.
kidnapping, Arjuna knew Shubhadra's mind was on him. you know, and
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Mm.
they were already very qualified, not just for the process of kidnapping, but to even understand the other person's mind. You know,
Mm.
without the knowledge of other person's mind, only at least we only know one or two things. Maybe I can only think about Amba. Nobody else was kidnapped without knowing their, they were
Mother
committed.
Sita was also kidnapped by Ravana. Mother
Yeah,
Sita
that
also.
is not for marriage. That was for
Mm.
lust.
Yes. Yeah.
It was not for a system of marriage. It was for
Mm-hmm.
lust. Yeah, after that he offered, oh, I'll make you the primary queen and all that. But that
Mm-hmm.
he lusted over Mother Sita. But the
Yeah.
proper system of marriage was not just based on that. It was based
Mm-hmm.
on genuine attraction of each
Mm.
other's qualities. One of
Yeah.
those qualities could be beauty, but that was not the only quality,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of qualified persons kidnapping. But now we don't have qualified persons. We don't even have a proper kshatriya or anything. So like Prabhupada
Mm.
explains, because none of us are doing any particular um, uh, the job function that is given for. I mean, I shouldn't say none of us, but 99% of Kali Yuga are not doing um, the particular occupational duties of a particular varna. So therefore, we don't even come into that in the periphery of that circle where that can be done. We are so far from those systems. So therefore, only
Mm.
one option left for Kali Yuga is, both parties agree, and then both families get into the whole dealings, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how they move on.
Yeah.
But even within that, we need a strong Vedic background, or scriptural Vedic in the sense, not karma
Mhm.
kanda background, at least for us.
Mhm.
We know life is meant for self-preservation and purification. Therefore, we choose to direct our desires towards that, and then the system of marriage is directed by the Vaishnava, what do you call, the injunctions. So things like that, basically, yeah,
Yeah,
safety net is there for us in that.
yeah, and the amazing thing in this particular episode is Devahuti, Mother Devahuti is actually a Kshatriya. She's a princess. She's
Yes.
actually the daughter of the emperor of the universe,
Yeah.
and she fixes her mind on a Brahmana,
Saintly
and
person.
that too. Yeah, it's now across Varna is one thing, and
Yeah.
she knows there is going to be no comfort there.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's definitely not bodily attraction, full
Yes.
knowledge, because they've already heard that Kardamomuni has performed a 10,000 year, penance and so many other things. It's not going to be easy. In
Yes.
spite of that,
Yeah.
she chooses the most qualified person.
That
Yeah.
says that such a high caliber bride there,
Mhm.
actually. She's already
Yeah.
of a
Mhm.
um, highly qualified um,
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
So, because we think about 10,000 years when somebody does penances, if we just think again, going back to Mahabharata,
Yeah.
Ambalika and Ambika in their room
Mhm.
when Vyasadeva entered, one of them fainted, one of them closed their eyes.
Mm.
That was their situation. So that's how Kadamuni is also going to be like that. It's like a fire
Yes.
covered smoke situation. The
Mhm.
one who cannot see the fire inside the smoke cannot accept that person. So
Mhm.
it only magnifies the qualification of Mother Devahuti of
Yeah.
by the choice that she made, which was deliberately done
Mhm.
through Sadhu Sangha and Shastra and her training.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, then that's the place Vasudeva, there
Mhm.
is Vasudeva is appearing. That's why
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
she is the person who's holding him in the womb.
Yeah.
It's not something ordinary. So she is highly
Mhm.
qualified, just equally highly qualified as Kardamuni. His expression of his qualification was different, and her expression of her qualification was different according to the
Mhm.
bodies that they're in.
Mhm.
But they both were highly
Yeah.
qualified. I mean, who can serve somebody like that without an expectation in return for
Mhm.
ages? And who can also simply sit and do penances while there is a beautiful princess at home? Both parties are out there
Yeah.
somewhere. And so when they
Yeah.
speak something, it's valuable.
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
yes,
so
there, yeah, go ahead.
actually, you touched the point where I wanted to go. I was, also hinting that with all these austerities and all of that, it's like they were plowing the field and setting the furrows so that the Lord could appear
Yeah.
ultimately, and
But
she was,
still, was it easy? It wasn't easy.
no, no.
So after all that
Mhm.
sadhana, they
Mhm.
still had to go through their moments of
Mm.
challenge. But
Mm.
then, because their minds were fixed on the purpose of the system of
Mhm.
marriage, then they didn't get
Yeah.
distracted. They were
No,
just keeping on going.
what really surprises me is like Devahuti, in spite of having so much knowledge and doing so much devotion and service and all of that, she still, in the end, you know, tells her husband, "Hey, I did not utilize my time with you in a proper way." And
Yeah.
then, when Kapila Muni appears, and even with him, she takes the same line and says, "Grant me, knowledge and wisdom and
Freedom from
everything."
fear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Freedom from false
and
ego. Yeah.
yeah, and wonderful prayers, So probably it can be unparalleled or maybe comparable with Kunti Devi prayers, but
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
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 Okay, Mataji, I'll stop there.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Thank
I'll hear from you.
I think that's it. We are, I think, our life also becomes perfect by glorifying these personalities who are glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam. So somehow or other, we have an opportunity to kind of contact them through the scripture. So all gratitude to Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada for establishing our contact and connection with them, who don't seem historical or foreign to us anymore. Otherwise, everything seems historical and foreign and once ago, long ago, like that. But because we have Srimad Bhagavatam, everybody seems to be like a part of our life right now. We are speaking as if we just witnessed Mother Devahuti and Kada Muni's exchange. Yeah, we witnessed through the purports, but it almost feels we feel very close to these personalities. That's our fortune, actually. Yeah. Anyways, anyone else has anything to share?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have one, it's question I don't know. You really mentioned really good way, like the Grihastha Ashrama is a way as a service. If you take it up, it is easy. And it is for self, like purification of the self. I have a question on that, Mataji. So the Grihastha Ashrama, knowingly or non-knowingly, we took that as a part. But you mentioned about detachment and everything. So I have a question, like in that, if the challenges come, we get deviated.
Yeah.
So how we have to get motivated and stay in touch and make focus of our life as Krishna if we feel challenges in that Grihastha ashrama?
Yeah. So, thank you very much, Madhuri. So, something again that comes to my thoughts about this, how to keep on track, how to be on track when there are challenges in this particular ashram that we have chosen to be in, that is Grihastha ashram. We first of all reorient ourselves to what is the goal of Grihastha ashram, one, in relation to the goal of my life. If we have our goal of life, our purpose of life straight, like really clear, and then the purpose of Grihastha ashram, yeah, the choice, when we made the choice, we might have not had the clear idea of the purpose, but now we know through all these personalities sharing and the history in Srimad Bhagavatam, we know the purpose of any ashram for that matter. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam, what's the purpose of 4 ashrams and 4 varnas is for Haritoshanam. So we know that philosophically and theoretically we know that, like you said. So at least if we know the philosophy and theory clear, then when some challenges come, the challenges are going to come whatever ashram we are in. It's not going to be any easy for somebody else. Their set of challenges may be different than, sannyasis or brahmacharis. Set of challenges may be different than the challenges that we may face as grihasthas. But challenges are always there because this is the setup of this world. So when we have challenges, we filter through the lens of our goal of self-preservation and purification. And why we want to do self-preservation and purification through this ashram? Finally, we want to be connected with Govinda as their primary shelter. Yes, as there's also a difference between, does it mean that as women or men, whoever, like we don't feel shelter in the Grihastha ashram? No, we must feel some safety net and shelter in the setup that we are in. Otherwise, our minds will be completely distracted and we won't have any peace of mind to even practice Krishna consciousness. But we also know that the shelter that I have right now has to support the shelter that I ultimately is my ultimate shelter. So even the direction of shelter that we get in Grihastha ashram, we want to make it a little bit conducive so it actually supports our eternal shelter. Anyways, these are concepts and ideas and thoughts, right? These are, people may, in common terms, we may say, oh, this is theory or philosophy. What is practicality? Then practicality, we then unpack all this and then come down and say, what do I need to be able to be oriented to this goal of my life? So what is my need? So is my need protection from my spouse? Is my need understanding from my spouse? Is my need? So we are breaking down to our level now and looking at what is disturbing me at this point in putting my mind on the goal, ultimate goal. So the disturbance will allow us to know what are, we may say attachment, we can also say needs, So the disturbance that we may feel is not random. It gives us clues, actually. It gives us some level of help to find our need, which is not met. And therefore, we are not able to put our mind in Krishna. So there is some relation. Of course, we cannot 100% meet the need and then only put our mind on Krishna. That doesn't also happen. But we can come to some, in the bridge of, our material, not material, but you understand my wording is in relation to our occupational or prescribed system that we have here and our eternal system, there is a bridge and we try to come into the center. Some needs are met, but while meeting our needs, we still are very clear that this is for getting my Krishna. This needs I'm meeting so that I can focus on Krishna. So our mind is still on Krishna only. This is just to navigate, right? So when the needs are not met, we are still our goal, we are not thrown off. We don't simply leave the goal just because our needs in this bridge is not met. Yes, we would love everything is to be met properly, but this is material world. Dukkale Mashashvatam is a principle of this material world. So there will be disturbances, but we have reorientation. So this is what this is supposed to do. This ashram is supposed to give me purification. And what does purification mean? Coming to awareness of the impurities that we have. And the impurities does not only have to be, pride, arrogance, this whole big sentence, big things. Little impurities, like subtle things could be there. Like attachment to this way of getting treated, that way of getting spoken to. These, this little attachments are also impurities, right? But we want to be human, therefore we meet our needs, right? But then at the same time, we are not only focused on meeting our needs in this world. When we keep on thinking we are going to meet our needs in this world, then we don't even allow ourselves to grow beyond the needs. We meet our needs, but we want to also grow beyond the needs. So anyways, I think it's a large package. This particular question that you had brought up for discussion, it's a very valid and important reflection. So to sum it up, I would say that we want to be fixed, at least in our mind, the goal has to be fixed. Goal of our life has to be fixed. And the general idea of Grihastha Ashram, we need to know. And the general idea of material world, we need to know. Because we need these three to navigate towards the goal. General idea of material world, we know. There is Dukkale Mashashvatam, there's temporariness, there's a mix of happiness, distress, and we are always getting our dues. So these all are general principles of being in the material world. And the general principles of Grihastha Ashram, or the goal is for Haritoshanam, okay? What does that mean? Then I focus only on preservation of my body and soul together through this ashram. And I also focus on my purification. This is something that we know. So we have some idea And then we have a clear, fixed goal. And that is there. Then we unpack this. What does purification mean? What are we getting purified of? What are my impurities? In these impurities, what can be like some needs that can be met? And we are just, we are sentient beings, so some needs to be met, but how do we meet those needs? Then there are strategies to meet those needs. And why we are meeting the needs, so that our mind can be directed to Krishna peacefully, not just to enjoy, but actually to not lose track of Krishna in this whole, disturbance that we have. So this, everywhere we have goal of Krishna as the primary, then we unpack and unpack and unpack and keep going. That's what the best I can think at this point. Of course, this can be expanded a lot depending on time, place, situation, and the particular um, style of approach that each of us as individual devotees have towards this, and the type of challenges that each of us have towards, in this setup. Everything can be personalized, but I can only think of the broader stuff, principles. So I don't know if I made any sense, but we can always talk further privately.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much. It really helps me. Like everything dovetailing towards Krishna, though it is favorable or unfavorable, really makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhavi. Yeah. Okay, I think it's 8:30. Oh, okay. Kiran Mataji, you unmuted.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
That's good one too.
There was a nice discussion, Mataji, and along the lines that you were just saying, I think our facing those unfavorable things gets much lighter and much better when we try to imbibe that, what Krishna knows what is good for us. Like, even if he's sending, the unfavorable situations, we have to have that faith that it's for our meeting that goal. And if we keep that in mind, this is just, I was thinking as you were talking. So if we have that faith, from the beginning, like, I know it's hard, but if we keep that in mind, that we accept what Krishna is giving us as his offering, like as his um gift to us, like for our meeting that goal, I think it gets a lot easier. Yeah, so, and that's what helps to develop that faith too. Like, okay, yeah, why this happened to me? But to know that this is my goal and this is why I'm doing, this is why I entered this ashram. He knows what I'm doing. He knows why we are doing. So I think it becomes a little manageable, like,
So
we can cross the hurdle better.
Yeah, we find some reassurance about Super Soul and Krishna knowing us. And then we take steps steadily, despite whatever it is. We keep taking steps as an individual person towards our relationship with Krishna. So yeah, this makes it's nice to reflect like that as well. Yeah.
And then I was also thinking that this is so important for for our future generations to kind of grow up with this kind of knowledge. And I was talking to the Premananda Mataji also the other day when she was giving a class, that as a congregation, I think we need to think a lot about how we can nurture our future generations to have that idea in mind, before they enter, or before even they think of entering the grahastashram.
Yeah.
Like the foundations, if they are right, then I think it goes good.
Yeah, recently someone that I know is trying to get married, and then the one thing that we also encouraged is to connect with Grihastha Vision Team, where it's like we can call it premarital counseling, but then it's also like laying the principles of Grihastha Ashram. So there are some resources available. Of course, we can always expand on the resources. But there are some resources available even now. Then there are definitely, more expansion is also good. Then for expanding, then we all who want to expand needs to get trained.
Yeah.
How to offer this to others in a systematic, digestible and palatable way.
Yes,
So
that's
that's
the
also
one.
yeah.
Yeah, the way that the generation would accept to,
Yeah, because we are also not very pure. So then
Yeah.
there's always a mix of our experiences and stuff. So then when somebody is taking their first step, then they need to receive something that is pure. They will anyway have mix with that, but we don't have to mix them. So it's like, yeah, we can get trained in these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful class, beautiful discussion, and very practical. So I like it. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I intervene on this particular topic?
Yes.
Just a couple of more minutes. So wonderful point. One of the things that troubles me is today most of our children go to school, and by sixth grade, seventh grade, or eighth grade, they are given all these ideas about, woke ideas where open marriage, bisexual and stuff like that, which, rewires them in different ways. So that is something, I don't know, at some point of time we should start thinking, and providing some, I don't know what to say, coaching or even, work with them. What the solution is, I really don't know, but
Yeah.
we need to somehow counter some of those influences.
Yeah.
It's a very touchy subject also. So,
Yes, and ideally we were, at least I have heard, I don't know if it's ideal or not, but I have heard that any child should have a strong relationship with at least one other mature Krishna conscious adult than their own parents. Because,
mhm,
like parents are the first source for sure. And then
yeah,
one other mature
mhm,
Krishna conscious adult, if they have in their life, then when there are circumstances and age related,
mhm,
discrepancy when it happens within the child and
correct.
parent, then they have someone to go to. That's one.
Mhm,
The second thing is, we also, I remember hearing that this mature Krishna conscious adult that one goes to, then the
mhm,
parent and that particular person also should have a decent relationship, if not super close, like a decent
yes,
relationship.
yes.
That way, the child can trust the
Mhm,
third party. And the parent also doesn't become insecure. Oh my God, my kid is listening to
mhm.
somebody else, then not me. I mean, this all is going to happen.
Yes, Mata.
So,
But the
so
challenges are bigger than those, correct?
yes,
So,
challenge is
yeah.
bigger than that, because that's another insecurity, like when.
Mhm,
So,
yeah.
but then the system is, yeah, that
Mhm,
each family as a family has to also
mhm,
have this in their vision when
correct.
we have children in the family.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Mata.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, but along this line, Prabhuji, like
Mhm.
the youth are in the process, like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are doing this, like connecting with the older, the
correct.
older generation. And so I think in that line, I think a good,
Yeah,
at least from what I know, a
yeah,
good connection is going on. So that's a good
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. That is one good thing is that we have a healthy youth congregation also, and they're all meeting and doing stuff together. What I
Yeah.
what I was hinting was it has to start even earlier. That is what I
Yeah.
was
It has
hinting.
to start earlier. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because in the school, what they're doing is, the left-leaning liberal, they're pumping all these woke ideas, and
Yeah.
it hurts the kid long before we even tell them something. So we are like looking at age appropriateness.
Yeah,
They're
we do
not.
have to be thinking about it from the beginning of having a child, not just,
Yeah.
anyways.
So probably this is something we also maybe talk with the youth leaders and see how, it's not a one day solution. We will probably not be able to come up with an answer. But yeah, Mataji, what you said is correct. We already have a strong foundation. We'll have to see how to extend it and build it. Yeah. Thank you, Mata.
No,
Okay.
thank you, Prabhupada.
So we will wrap it up with once again reorienting ourselves to the verse. This is Karda Muni and Devahuti's marriage scene, where Karda Muni is telling about the pointers about Devahuti that, first of all, he expresses his desire that I desire to marry, that he tells in 15, and in 16 he says that your daughter's desire to marry can also be fulfilled because she hasn't given her mind or word to anybody else. Then our marriage can happen under Vedic injunction. And we discussed about fixing the mind. Why do we fix the mind? What does it offer when we fix our mind on something or someone or some practice? What protection it offers, and what should be the foundational basis or background for fixing our mind should be based on sadhu, shastra, and guru. So this is all covered. Because I just want to reorient to this because tomorrow's verse will continue with this. Therefore, yeah. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yeah.